for having us speak today. My name is Kerry Evrard. I am a 911 operator with the Suffolk County Police Department. Just a couple of things we'd like to discuss. One is the reclassification. Back on September 11, 2021, our representatives fought very hard in Albany to have us designated as first responders, yet in this county we are still considered clerical workers, receiving the same benefits as clerical workers. What goes along with that is our pay sits like that also. So our starting salary right now that was just advertised for a dispatcher is $46,000, and that's after every other benefit, your vacation, your holiday pays. It is less for 911 operators. We are our first defense in this county. We come to work, snowstorms, rainstorms, hailstorms, it doesn't matter, we have to be there. If we don't show up, the county does not get the 911 or the police response needed at that time. So the first thing that we need to do, and we are working on it, is change the status and have the position redesignated to emergency personnel so that it would hopefully help with our pay structure as well as some of the other benefits as far as retirement. Once again, we had another person give notice today where he's going to a bus company to be a dispatcher, making $2 more an hour currently with guaranteed raises that are far greater than ours are. I know I've spoken here before, so I'm not going to get into what we do for a living. I know most of you are fully aware of it. But if there's nobody there to answer that phone and nobody there to dispatch police officers, then what happens to the county? Right now, we have multiple people who will be retiring in the next 5 to 6 years. The problem is that we can get people through the door in some cases, but we cannot retain them. The hours are long, the job is hard, it's mentally grueling, it affects your whole family life, it affects everything you do. And unlike I heard people say they can get a second job, we work rotating schedules with mandates. We cannot get a second job. We are entering the summertime now where our quotas and our numbers that we have to have scheduled at a time will go up to 15 for the weekends. There's not one of our squads that has 15 operators on it. Right now, with people out on medical leave, we have squad 1 and squad 3 both sitting at 13 people and squad 2 sitting at 14 people. So right there, you're talking about overtime. You know, we spend so much money on overtime that we could afford to hire or pay a better wage to these people. The other thing, and a way to possibly do this is, for the last couple of years, when I was first hired, it was one test. It was a 911 test followed by a secondary test attached to it for dispatch.
If you could please just wrap up one last sentence.
So if somebody did not like the job of dispatch or they didn't go through, we could try them in the other protection. It's one test being given one day at a far less cost where the person is opting to pay for 2 tests. So there's no loss to the county to do them at the same time, at the same day as one test.
We have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Legislator Lennon.
Thank you. Just want to address the, over here. Hello. Just want to address the designating 911 operators as emergency workers. I thought we did that. We're actually checking that right now to see if that was done and where we are with it. So we'll get back to you with where we are with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Legislator Gonzalez.
You said squad 1 and 3 are at 13?
Correct. We have 13 operators.
What's the original number that it should be at?
We should never go below 16. We have not been at 16. I think we spent 16 for maybe 3 months, 2 years ago. Other than that, none of us have been full.
16 is the minimum.
Well, we have to, right now scheduled, the minimum is 15. We used to have 16 people per squad, but as people leave, we've not been able to keep up with the amount of people who leave as the amount of people who stay. So now if you have a squad of 13 and 2 people are allowed to take vacation, you're putting that down to 11. So on a Friday night or Saturday night when the minimums are 15, that's a minimum of 4 people at overtime for each part of that tour.
How many people actually have been at work and they called in sick here and there and had to do overtime within the last minute, you know, not expecting to do it? How many times does that occur?
How many days in the week are there? And how many squads work? And it's the reality. At any given time, you do have some people who will sign up to it to help others out who they know can't do the overtime, but there is mandates every week.
All right, that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Legislator Thorne.
Thank you for coming in today. So I've been at that call center several times now to see what's going on. I remember handling this about a year ago where we hired people per diem and we gave a bunch of resources. How effective was those resources in what we're dealing with now? I understand the pay issue. That's a pay issue with the AME, and I'm sure they're working on that with the county executive, but the 911 system itself, when we made the changes a year ago and when myself came in and then myself and Legislator Leonard visited the facility, are those issues being handled properly? Are you getting the staff and the backup you need?
The problem is we don't have the staff. And I know that we just went out to that help. They signed it up for a help program through the state of New York. But the reality is a lot of those people never make it through. The person who just left was only hired a year and a half ago, when originally they opened up and started hiring. I think out of that class, correct me if I'm wrong, who's left from that class? We have 2 people left from that class. And one of them was a county employee who transferred from another part of the county.
I also know that teletype in your office is understaffed. Where are we at with that? Do you know?
I'm not sure, I know that I did see somebody new in there, so that's a
Well,
good sign.
that's promising.
That's a good sign.
Well, I've got a bunch more questions, but I'll do most of them offline.
Okay.
But I thank you for coming in.
Oh, you're
As you know, I'm on the 9/11 Commission for the county. So it concerns me, and we'll be
Yeah, it's
taking a
just,
deeper dive into it.
the reality is, we're hiring these people, they're coming in the door. We're wasting so much time and effort and money in training them to have them turn around a year later and leave. And it's simply because of the hours and the pay. There's nothing we can do about the hours, but we can compensate people for the schedules that they work.
I'm sorry, one more question, Chairman. You spoke earlier of, how many days in the week, right? I remember several of your staff coming up here saying they were mandated 16-hour days, 5 days a week. I also remember doing some emergency hiring at that point. Has that been alleviated? Some of that mandatory, absolutely 16-hour days? And
This class that came through, that was the original help program where they did hire, I believe it was 23 and an additional 5. More than half of them are still with us. So that was helpful. But the problem is if you do a help program and you have 10 people show up who interview and only 2 of them take the job, and it comes back. I mean, we advertise on the new starting pay for a dispatcher is $46,000. A lot of people are going to click right past that. It takes, 16 years to get to top pay, minimal raises. It's marketed, but
so
the reality is that you can go to a store and work as a manager for more money than we're currently making.
So my question is that the help program, that it helped get people through the door?
Last time it did, I think it was I think last time it was lasted for a couple months, and I believe the public safety, no, not public safety, emergency dispatch just did it for a fire rescue. I'm not sure how it worked for them, but a couple years ago when we needed that, it worked very well. This time, I haven't seen anybody who's been hired. I don't know if anybody's been hired.
But the program's still in progress.
Correct. I believe it ended on a couple months ago. The applications had to be turned in by, I think it was like in February. So, oh, it was dispatchers only, so.
Dispatchers only, okay. So we have to widen that back up again.
Yeah, and I think that part of the key is, even if you're going to give the test, do it as a dual test. This way, if somebody doesn't make it through the dispatch program or decides they don't like it, you have a background list already going. I mean, when you get a list where you're at the bottom and there's nobody responding to it, the list does no good.
Understood. The rest of the information I'll get offline, but I appreciate you coming in
Okay,
today.
great. Thank you so
And know that
much.
we're looking at it, okay?
I understand that. Thank you.
Oh, wait, don't go. We have a list of people here. Legislator Kennedy.
Thank you so much for coming out. It is important that all of you speak on a consistent basis, but we're not forgetting. I myself have been there numerous times as a nurse for 30 years. When I stood and watched one particular 911 operator answer call after call after call, I was getting tachycardic in there. You maintain, what? Not again. You maintain your composure in situations that are extremely difficult. And what is it, 46,000 is not a living wage in Suffolk County. We are aware. We are looking at ways to change things. I know it's slow. I know it's slow, and I empathize with what it's like living on $46,000 in Suffolk County, New York. That dual testing is an excellent idea. So the commission will look into that. We have to look at a bunch of little ideas before we get to the big ideas. But thank you again for what you do and coming out.
Oh, no problem, thank you.
Legislator Donnelly.
Good morning. It's not a question. It's through the chair. As one of the more senior members of the Public Safety Committee, I've requested this before. I think based on some of the information we're getting from staff, that through the chair, of course, that we request by next public safety meeting a staffing report from police department leadership on where they're at. What does the summer staffing plan look like? And are we going to be able to maintain the level of staffing that's required to ensure that the 911 operations center is at full capability?
Okay, thank you. Legislator Mazzarella.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks again for coming in. And I think maybe all of us have visited the center at one time or another. I know Legislator Donnelly and I spent some time back a few months ago. But my question has to do with, you mentioned something about top pay being 16 years.
Right, 16 steps is, if I'm not.
Yeah. So my question is, how long has that salary scale been in place, and when was it put in place? Do you know? How long has it been 16 years to get to top pay?
Well, I know I was originally in the original plan. I was hired back before the contract expired in 2016, but all of us were then moved to the new contract. So originally, so that's got to be going back to 2017.
So 2017, we're in 2026, so approximately 10 years ago, we're talking.
So we didn't have, we worked without a contract. That's right,
that
3 years.
contract that was settled, and I'm only trying to extrapolate what you're saying into years, if it was 2016, 17, 18, whatever, that contract that was settled, did it stretch it out? Was it less years to get to top pay back then?
It was, we went from a 12-step to a 16-step
Okay, that's interesting to know. So back about 10 plus years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, it was much shorter time to get to top pay. And somewhere in that 10-year ago time frame, the deal between your union and Suffolk County stretched that salary scale out. So you're suffering the pain of that now. It's something that was done about 10 years ago.
Right, it was
And also with the raises, because I think back then there were several zeros, if I remember correctly, in some of those contracts. So you're suffering the pain of stretching out the time it takes you to get to top pay, and what has compounded that is the zeros that were given to your union from the county back in those years. And I'm trying to put that together. I plan on spending some time with the administration or your union to do a little more studying on this. But we hear this time and time again from different departments here in the county, and it's troubling, obviously, to where we are now. But we can't do anything about what happened 10, 12 years ago, only to move forward. But unfortunately, a lot of damage was done in those years, and we now have to pick up those pieces and move forward. And obviously, it's come to an urgent issue. So, but thank you again for being here today. I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Okay, is that it?